Back in the friendly confines, March the 6th, Monday, the real K&C, Ken Laird.
Chris Curtis.
Had an interesting show today, which started with an irritable Kirk Minahan.
So I don't have a headphone jack, which is good. I mean, I'll have to listen to Ken or
If he
Chris
says
today.
anything, I'll let you know.
It's fine.
I guess the more entertaining part of the story is that Lou, the engineer, when something goes wrong in studio, typically you and I try to put out the fire. If not, we call our trusty engineer staff. Right?
Lou's been here forever. Really nice guy.
Kirk was complaining that his headphone jack was malfunctioning.
Right, so he needed a new headphone jack. I get him one right before the start of the show. He plugs it in. It doesn't work.
He doesn't want to use an alternate pair of headphones, of which we have plenty.
$300 million whatever operation, and these two idiots can't find a phone jack. So whatever the hell this thing's
Why
called.
don't you have one?
I lost it. I don't know. No. Get me a jack. I don't want to wear your dumb headphones. Get me a jack. I do not want your ears in my ears.
He wants to use his particular brand of headphones.
Right. Yeah! So Kirk is angry. He's yelling back at us, what the fuck's going on? Because you can't play drops because he can't hear anything.
Right.
And I can't talk back about anything, or you can't, we can't, there's nothing that we can do in our room to help the show on the air.
Right.
Because he doesn't hear anything.
But no worries, Lou came to the rescue.
So I go get Lou. I said, hey, Lou, frantically, I need another headphone jack. That one isn't working. And he says, I'll just have him use these Sony. So he picks up out of this thing. I'm trying to tell him he doesn't want to use them. He's like, I got it under control. So I'm thinking that maybe he'll take the jack off of the Sony and put it, or I don't know what he's going to do. He sits down, hands them to Kirk, tests them out. He says, these work. Kirk says, okay, great. Turns and looks at you and just puts them down. Wanted no part of them.
You going to pay attention?
I'm trying to get a jack in my ear.
Who's calm here? Christ. Who's calm here?
And I'd go and tell Lou, and I said, Lou, no, that doesn't work.
Lou came into the control room, and we said, Lou, he's not going to use those headphones. We've been through this. We tried that And Lou said, no, he just told me it was good.
Oh, man. Long story short, they unbuttoned Kirk's Bose noise-canceling headsets. Had to be placed off for them to work in the studio.
I blame Jerry, personally. I think it was Callahan's fault, who needed a bottle of water vigorously in the first segment of the show.
What a way to start the week.
Then
Jesus.
you had to get 2 bottles of water because you can't get Jerry one without Kirk, and then Trenni wanted one.
What? Water for only 2? Come on. Really, Curtis?
Last time I got water, I went all the way back because we're having construction here still. We've had the longest paint job in the history of American office work.
Yes, we have.
And I didn't get Kirk one, and Kirk said back to me, oh, I need one too. So, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Go do it. I wasn't going to get a third one because I just assumed Trenni didn't care.
This is coming out of your paycheck, by the way.
My paycheck.
I'm sorry, this is embarrassing.
Smart water. Then I get there and Trenni's like, oh, where's my water?
Well,
I thought the tomboy would have, be able to fend for herself there.
why can't you just call him an athlete?
Did you hear Trenni's condescending K&C stands for Ken and Curtis, by the way?
You've worked with these guys long enough to know that that's
it is
not the
actually
case.
when K and they say K&C, it's actually Ken and Curtis.
She wants to join the party. I think there's a lot of producer bashing in the main studio today, so she was just joining in on the
She
fun.
wanted to join in the party. Maybe she was sincere. I don't know. She listens to some of the show now, which is appreciated. She realized we were back to 3 days a week.
She didn't know anything about why we couldn't play Will Fleming's sound.
No, she missed that.
It's a little concerning.
WF, can we call him WF?
Yes.
We're not allowed to play WF, and that's understandable.
It was a Trenni Monday, first time we've ever had her in on a Monday. I thought it worked fairly well. It was an interesting show today. Of course, you knew there was going to be a ton of Trump.
He's an idiot. You voted for him.
I would say the 20 CEOs.
You're a dope.
After the wire tap weekend.
Do we have any proof of this wire tapping? Tap pig ping? Tap ping?
We handled that at 6. We kind of divulged into movie talk afterwards.
I understand you have a movie review today?
I do have a movie review.
I want to hear this.
He hated Moonlight.
He loved it.
Did you see it?
I did.
And you liked it?
I did like it.
No, seriously, Trenni.
I told you it was bad.
You told me it was bad. You didn't tell me it was the worst movie ever
I didn't
made.
really think you were going to see it.
You should have stopped me.
If it's a movie that's
I
critically
spent
acclaimed,
$5.99.
that hurts.
We took a few calls. We got back into Trump at 9. Right amount of Trump talk today?
Yeah, so at 8 o'clock I thought was good. We were debating whether or not to go back into Trump at 8, but we used the Francesa Trenni story on Tomboy sort of angle there, and I thought that was good. Got a lot of calls, got some reaction.
That's true. Because Trenni has a weekend show, we're able to use her audio from Saturday.
Like the fact that this guy can't even wrap his tiny little Neanderthal pea brain around the idea that women can do something like men can it amazes me that in this day and age this is still happening. How is this still happening?
We could have done it without her and just played her sound, but to have her there, I think that took off for a good two segments.
It makes me feel like I have to identify with a boy, as though a person who is feminine can't be both adventurous.
Where's the offense?
It just feels like you're trying too hard. Am I wrong?
Or maybe it would just be one without her. I don't know. In that sense, I think it worked having her.
And it works, too, on two fronts, because Trenni's already gone over it, so she's prepared for the topic. And it's good, too, because Jerry didn't hear it live, so he hears it, and Jerry and Kirk can react to it.
Well, Jerry was at the Bruins game. He was busy.
Big night. We got some tweets of Kirk and Callahan fans seeing Jerry Callahan at the game on Saturday night. He said he was hanging out with Sarah Davis.
Yeah, a little close to Sarah Davis there from some of the pictures I saw. It was a little...
And when you're a star, they let you do it.
Mini Jerry Callahan was going to be walking
he
around.
got off the K&C bus, and he and Billy Bush went on down to the front row, their front row seats.
I could do anything.
Speaking of hosts of this morning show and women, I was perusing John Dennis's Twitter timeline over the weekend.
Hey, my friends, good morning.
Deep dive into pit bulls again.
Oh!
He's back in, baby.
Well, if they're pit bull owners, that's fine.
He does these tweets
He misses it.
about pit bulls because he knows they're going to react.
Yeah.
And he already has the canned responses. Idiot.
And now it's time to flush the turd that you are from my Twitter timeline.
What tattoo do you have?
Get some help. Goodbye.
He's missing the juice. You know.
Oh, he misses it.
So he's conducting his own talk show on Twitter. Some of us are blocked and can't participate, but we listen. We find ways to listen.
In the @John Dennis WEEI. He'll be gone from here for 6 years, and it's still going to be John Dennis WEEI.
WEEI.
No idea how to change the name.
Anyway, I agree that the 8 o'clock stretch was pretty good. Jerry saw Moonlight. You lied your ass off in the hallway and told Jerry you saw both Hacksaw Ridge
I saw both this weekend.
That's a lie.
and Moonlight.
I swear on the life of Pudgy. My brother-in-law was in town. We watched Moonlight Friday night, Hacksaw Ridge Saturday night.
What was the word you misused in the...
decor.
Oh, you show up wearing
I just asked what the decor was that I was expected to be wearing.
decor.
And
because we played from the podcast. Sometimes one of your rants from our podcast makes it onto the air. When basically we got nothing else better, Kirk will dip into that. Well, because Kirk didn't really want to go more Trump calls at 9:30.
no.
We want to go take some more calls here?
Yeah. I don't really,
Why
I
not?
guess. I don't really feel like doing it.
Jerry forced it.
Maggot. There's maggot.
But we tried to drum up a little Curtis v. Sales team
Yeah.
drama. It didn't really work.
I am such a moron in general, but like,
First name Mo, last name Ron.
Mo Ron. First name Mo, last name Ron.
they go to that segment and it's like, I know what they're going to talk about. In my mind, I've formulated a thought about how I'm going to address the subject. And they start talking to me and the light comes on and I fucking fuck everything up. I say decor.
You didn't fuck it up. That's actually what Kirk wants for the show. It's
I know, but I don't want that.
You did have a tremendous voice burp there.
No, it crystallized it.
What?
Are you going to do spots for this
Did you
advertising?
hear that at the end of that, Trenni?
Crystallized it.
Trenni gave a New England caller a hard time today. I thought that guy was pretty good.
Having Tomasi on there makes you look like a Harvard scholar. Hey, I was just
Scala?
curious before we get to.
Maybe we just enunciate.
I'm sorry, Trenni. Are you culturally appropriating me because of my accent?
Yep, I am.
You better back off. That's microaggression. So, Trenni,
We started getting a bunch of calls with people loving Trenni or
People wanting to date her.
Good. Hey, Trenni.
Yes.
You sound pretty hot.
She didn't seem to want to veer. Jerry even recommended that if you haven't seen her, you could stalk her. Which I thought was a little.
But I would love to get a date with Trenni. She's gorgeous. And
Thanks,
she's really
Mike.
nice,
I
too.
think she's the most beautiful woman
Why don't
on
you
earth.
just stalk her?
Hey, yeah.
This one guy called it off the air, and he was like, "Why is Yum Fat Mug on WEEI.com and there's nothing for Trenni?" And I was like, "Well, she's not on the show." He's like, "I've never seen it before. How do you spell a name?"
There was a singer in the 70s, Trini Lopez.
So I think the nut jobs were going crazy with the Google machine.
We also had on the show today, the 7 o'clock hour, a Celtics segment
SportsCenter led off with the Celtics loss last night. We haven't got to it yet.
with Isaiah fumbling the basketball, which I would say 5 minutes consisted of Trenni, Kirk, and Jerry rewatching live on air the video from the night before, which you tweeted out during the segment.
It's just a good defensive play. Ulyss, I think it is Ulyss who comes in. Like, I'm watching it right here. Thomas is right. Yeah, he just drops it. It bounces off his foot and goes right to Ulyss.
So last night, I tweeted out Larry Bird in his prime with the end of the game.
Yeah, he is having a season that is comparable to Larry Bird at his best.
Yeah.
Kirk asked that I retweet that during the segment, so I did. There was never a good Vine or GIF or whatever of the actual misplay of Isaiah
Just the
Thomas.
play, yeah.
It was the play.
Had to be. There has to be somewhere.
So then I retweeted it. Jerry's all happy for me in 1 second. He's like, "Oh, that's actually Winnie." Then he goes, "Oh, delete it. That doesn't have the fucking play."
So you don't see that until you don't actually see. It was bad. He got no help.
I can do play-by-play if you want. I mean,
Well, Jerry was on you from the start because, not your fault, you were scrambling to get Kirk stuff, and you didn't have Jerry's New York Times story printed.
Okay, Chris, I'm busy doing a show. Can you print out the many stories about Muslims who celebrated
In a timely fashion for his liking, nor the worst movies of all time list.
I don't have that list. I wonder why we can't.
no list has been produced for us.
Do we have an intern today?
Is Curtis
Maybe
here
he could
today?
do
We
it.
do. I don't know. Curtis just ran out.
Get the
Where
intern.
is he?
He's gone for 10 minutes.
Yeah, the New York Times story was actually from a Breitbart story
Was
where
a
they
shock.
quoted the New York Times. So I had printed it this morning and didn't. It's probably on his desk somewhere, but I finally got it printed later on. So that was a fail by me, 100%. And then the movie list, I finally get to that, and the control room computer, which freezes about 7 to 12 times a show, decided to freeze at that exact moment. So that was a little late getting in there. But
I have no excuse.
they finally got to their worst movies. What time was that?
We did at the
With the actual list was in the
6:45.
9 o'clock hour. I
Yeah,
believe.
yeah. But those lists are tough because it's not actually movies that people have heard of.
Right.
Back to the 7 o'clock hour, which I thought was good. So if you like Celtics talk, we got that in. A little Sporty McKenzie. Headlines featured the best of Kate McKinnon from SNL. A lot of SNL stuff, which we expected.
My name's Jeff Sessions. Would you like a chocolate?
We played a big chunk of their Forrest Gump bit.
Right.
Almost felt like it was too much, but I guess if you missed the bit, it highlighted how bad it was. And it was bad. I mean, I like some segments of SNL, but God, Kirk is right. It was historically unfunny, to use his phrase.
Yeah, I didn't watch it live Saturday. Sunday morning I watched it. Within about an hour, I saw both Kirk and Jerry tweet how awful it was, and I knew we would be getting to it, if not earlier, definitely in headlines today. And I think it was smart to play because it was so historically bad that there was no punchline. You know what I mean? Like, it just kept drawing on and on.
Yeah, that was sort of the
point.
Point of it, yeah.
The chocolates were
Well,
brown.
they had the one punchline they had was the Kellyanne Conway no legs,
Right,
Lieutenant,
like Lieutenant
Dan
Dan.
tie-in.
This is my best good friend, Kellyanne. She ain't got no legs.
Some writer decided this is a funny joke. Let's do a whole bit on Forrest Gump because of the one joke. It was, and you saw the result.
Right. I bet you that happened. It started with that line. They wanted to somehow shoehorn it in. But you, where have you gone? You used to defend the Hallelujah. You used to defend Kate McKinnon.
Well, I defended Hallelujah, their right to do it.
I also thought it was amusing when Kurt was talking about, because Kurt and Callie were pissed at the way Saturday Night Live handled stuff. Well, that's a comedy show. Well, it's a sports radio station, and you're talking about politics, 85% of the time over the last few weeks.
Their right to be political and take a stance on it.
You've been on Team McKinnon since the start.
Heard there was a secret chord.
Well, the Sean Spicer stuff was good. As the guys pointed out today. That was pretty funny when they had that wasn't
Kate
her. McKinnon. No.
That was Melissa
McCarthy.
Right.
There are some funny segments to the show occasionally. Yeah,
we never even played the Trump brothers, which was awful. That might have been even worse than the Gump segment.
Yeah, that fell flat in the middle of headlines.
It was bizarre too because the host, I don't know his name.
Michael Che and
was the other
Jost.
guy.
Oh yeah,
it was the white dude. They're sitting there and there was like pauses and
was
nobody
bad.
was laughing.
No.
Well, I'm glad your business is doing well.
It's like, I get it. They're dumb. They're dead. Like,
and they've had like a 3-week build-up to write this stuff, too. So,
it was awful.
It was a pretty bad episode. They've got to be better. I'm with my man Evan Drellick. Try harder.
Be better. Try harder.
I agree.
Be in the nuance a little.
You don't like nuance.
Say her name.
Say her name.
Yes, Moran. That's her name. Remember it.
Speaking of which, looking ahead to the rest of the week, have we confirmed Drellick for a Wednesday appearance? You bumped him last week, but he might be back in for his second shot.
Back in on Wednesday at 8 is the plan. That is the plan. And
good.
We have a feisty Alex Reamer tomorrow.
Oh, why?
He is unhappy with Richard Deitch.
Can we pump the brakes a little bit?
And the comments he made about him on the podcast.
It's a little bit too much now with Alex Reamer.
Oh, good.
And he is ready to fight back.
Deitch has had enough of the Alex Ream.
Yeah. So,
and not just the gay stuff.
No.
What was Deitch's point?
He seems like he's trying to get a little bit of buzz for himself.
That he's
it's run its course.
I guess he said that Alex Reamer writes to get reaction and give the show fodder and doesn't really do anything else, that he's sort of our puppet.
You freaking muppet.
He's like an in-house clickbait.
Our house organ.
Yeah.
And so he wants to
We
respond.
like that, though, even if that's partly true. We like that.
Well, and Reamer said it's his job to get read. I think Deitch, I love the guy, but I think he writes a little bit more for the Twitter applause and for the attaboy.
Good boy, Jerry.
Whereas Reamer's got the approach that he needs to grow and get some name recognition and put his stuff out there.
Little Alex is out there.
I'd call Deitch a fake ombudsman almost.
You're like fake ombudsman.
I really think so. I mean,
Well, we can have Deitch back in.
he's never in town.
Yeah, he didn't drive up. He came up on a train once to be on.
Right.
We only had him on 2 hours too.
I talked
think
with
he'd
him.
be good for 4
He
hours.
listens to 4 hours a day, or if he doesn't listen live, he listens to the podcast because he texts me.
Preparing for my summit with Chris Curtis.
So I'd be happy to have him back. He listens more than Trenni.
I won't listen anyway because
Fair
I'll probably
answer.
be sleeping.
We also did a little bit of Belichick at the Combine today. Not a ton. That was more of a riff on old Belichick, stodgy Belichick versus new Belichick.
Well, the Mayock laugh got a lot of play.
Yeah, that's true. If nothing else, we get the Mayock laugh, which we can play here.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of debate, actually, as to what we're going to do Thursday, speaking of our football segment, because NFL free agency launches Thursday. You're correct in your assessment that usually the night before there's a lot of news that's ready to leak. Players that sort of have agreed in principle, although they're not supposed to, right?
Right.
So that might be a good day for a football guy, but we're not quite sure who our football guy is right now.
Yeah, I think we're going to take a week off from the Pete Man.
You're in the Minahan poop list.
Good with doses. I think we're in that pause mode. But yeah, there's some old names that have popped up that have possibly had a ban at times that have...
Albert from Rhode Island is going to come back in Thursday?
Passes in the ear.
Well, he is really divorced. I mean, he was lying the second time. He was honest the first time, which is obviously mostly the case with him.
He's been recently banned.
He's done.
Ken Obrey from Boston, bro.
Done?
For the foreseeable
We said that
future.
before.
He had such an easy opportunity. All he had to do was play along for 3 fucking minutes and say, okay, I'll meet you, whatever. Like, knowing the station, we weren't really going to set up a film crew and get you sit down and, do the whole thing.
Right.
It would have just been a good radio bit for a couple minutes, and he couldn't even handle that.
Right. So anyway, Thursday's open. We have some discussion. Yeah. Evan Drellick for Wednesday, and of course, Muttman's going to bring it home on Friday.
It's a big thing for Drellick, because I think it can really only go two ways. He comes in, and it's good. Obviously, we're not going to recreate the insanity in Fort Myers.
What's wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Why are you so afraid? Why are you so scared? What am I scared of? Guy?
But if he's good, lively, debates,
I think he'll be fine this week, just on the merits of he's quit his job at the Herald. There's new stuff with him. He's going to start the Comcast show. So that's inherently built in.
But my point is that if he comes in and it's bleh, the odds of him getting another call back are basically slim to none.
Well, the big test will be how he does on non-baseball stuff, because we don't want to do 2 hours of baseball.
April in baseball.
Well, I do, but some people don't.
I think it's, if he comes in, shows some energy, we have some places available. He could be part of the rotation.
That's good. And you said Arcand had reached out, but he's out of town this week, so maybe next week or down the road.
Yeah, he's in Mexico, I believe. I don't know if he'll be able to get back.
All right, fair enough. Anything else that we have missed? We got a couple more tweets over the weekend. People that are upset we've been scaled back to 3 days a week. I find that heartwarming.
To win the hearts and minds and souls.
Yeah, a lot of positive reaction this weekend for the podcast. And
we've had 8 reviews on iTunes. And we are a 5-star podcast.
Look at that. 8 for 8.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know how that works.
The unhateful 8.
Yeah, we've been doing Tarantino music as outros. We can't play here on the podcast, I guess, for lack of copyrights. But we can play during our air show. Are you a fan of that? We're kind of rotating the music in and out?
I really just listen to what we close the show with in terms of what cut we're going to play, but I do like the Tarantino sort of, and I like the keeping it guessing aspect of it. You know, Kirk said last week he was getting a little tired of the same closing song, so to mix it up a bit's good.
Yeah, Kirk doesn't like things to get stale.
We'll be able to react tomorrow to Jerry's meeting right now with his performance review.
Yeah, big Jerry performance review.
Jerry thought he could just hand him his own review and could leave, and that didn't quite happen.
I saw Jerry's paper. I looked over his shoulder. Looked like he worked hard on that to me. There were 5 questions, and it was thoroughly penned, I would say.
It was fascinating.
It was love to be a fly on the wall in that meeting. All right, we're limping to the finish here.
Yes, we are. All right, we'll
be off tomorrow
or Wednesday.
Yeah, we'll be back Wednesday. Tomorrow is supposed to be the day that Jerry does his podcast, but as of yet, that hasn't happened. But Reamer is in. Maybe we'll talk about that on the air. There seems to be some developments in terms of Jerry and Reamer doing a podcast of some regular nature.
So we'll see if Jerry finally does Coffee with Callahan tomorrow with Reamer.
Yeah, we have to almost come up with a new name. I don't know what that's going to be, but two gay guys. I'm
glad I'm gay.
And on that note,
see you later.
Andrea Obston, president of Andrea Obston Marketing Communications in Bloomfield, has been with Tab Computer Systems for over 30 years. She's had time to notice just how dedicated Tab's techs can be.
The most recent example of their persistence and their care was that I purchased a new computer and I did it on my own, which was a mistake. And there were some real serious problems with the way that software was installed.
Here's how Tab exceeded her expectations.
They never gave up. They actually were more bugged by things that were problems than I was. They wouldn't let it go. In this case, they literally had to strip all the software out and put it back in, and they never gave up until they were happy that it was working completely.
For above and beyond service, call 1-888-TAB-4-HELP, 1-888-TAB-4-HELP, or visit tabinc.com. Technology's advancing business. Tab Computer Systems.